Alright, so I'm back, and the next thing I want to talk about are elevation views. So we talked about plan views, so I have all my plan views open. So I'm just going to, I'll just maximize my level 1 and type ZE, zoom extents, and then I'm going to close my hidden windows up here. So closing all those hidden windows, taking up less RAM. Okay, so basically what you have are different elevation views. These guys right here. One of my elevation views is actually outside of my crop box. This is called the crop box. So if something happens to be outside yours, it shouldn't really, because you should have followed the rules. But if you want to move your crop box, you can select it and you will get a little blue piece. And if I drag up, hopefully eventually I'll get to my elevation marker, which is right there. Okay, I can click off of it. So I have a west, an east, a south, and a north elevation, all corresponding to my elevations right here. Now, if I come in and double click on that, it will take me into that elevation, similarly to double clicking on the level markers, right? Alright, so if I WT, tile these two windows and zoom extents for each one of those. So this is the elevation that I'm looking at right now. Okay, if I select this elevation, it's going to give me a line. You see this line? This is basically the section line for this elevation. So it has to decide where to start looking. So this is where it starts looking. So if there's any model information out here, it will actually section it and look this way. You can actually select that and drag it forward. So I could actually drag it into the model, and you'll see it's actually going to start to section that model based on where that elevation line is. So you want to make sure that your elevation line is in the appropriate place. It's nice that you can adjust the elevation line separate from the elevation marker. So if I come in and window around that, let's see if it'll let me. If you move the entire elevation marker, the thing should move with you, but you can obviously move that separately and separate it from the elevation marker, which is kind of nice. Okay, so very similarly to the levels, the elevation marker is not just an annotation, it's actually a view. So to create another elevation view, you can go to your View tab, and there is Elevation. So if you left click on that, it will come in and allow you to place an elevation. So there's another one. Now it's going to want to place more elevations, but I'm just going to hit escape, and you'll notice that it has added another category of elevation because these are two different types of elevation markers, and it will categorize them separately based on which type of elevation marker you use. If you want to update or change elevation markers, you can left click on that guy and you'll notice there's elevation, building elevation. If you go to the pull down, there's gray, and there's also an interior elevation. If you select gray, it will update it to the gray one and then move it into that category. So it's up to you. I certainly prefer the gray ones to the big default chunky Revit ones. Alright. Now another thing, if you select your elevation, you get various different settings over here. You're getting crop view. You're also getting clipping, right? So it's clipping without a line with a far clip offset of 10 feet. So if we were to go to this elevation, it should clip. You see that clipping line right there? We probably won't see anything. So let me double click on that. So in fact, we're not seeing anything in this elevation, right? Because the sort of range that it's looking at is quite small. So you have a couple of options for updating that. All right. If you select, again, the elevation and go to the properties, you can come down and tell it just not to clip at all. So just say no clip. And now here you can see that elevation. Or if you wanted to clip it, you could adjust that clipping line to be a greater distance, and you can do this numerically. So if I say 40 feet and apply, now it's kind of in the middle. You can also do it graphically. So I have that elevation selected, and you see that's the 40 feet that I just set, and I can just drag that out, right? And you'll see that it will update over here as well. Some reasons you may want to clip is that if there's some other object back here that you just don't want to see in the elevation, that would be an option. All right, so I think that's enough for elevations right now. I'll come back and talk about sections next time.